Hi. I wanted to talk a little bit about addiction. I have a lot of people who call and clients who come in who talk about various addictions. And I think it's important for people to understand that the bottom line of addiction is really a self-esteem issue or a self-worth issue. And I know that's hard to believe for some people because the items that they get into end up being addictive of themselves. And so sometimes people will take drugs because they don't feel good about themselves and the drugs make them feel better, but then the drugs themselves become biochemically addictive. And so I think it's important to look at where the addiction started. So when you think about the first time you did a specific behavior and how that felt and what that did to you, even biochemically, but emotionally, and typically it'll make you feel better in the moment in time. It can be either a drug itself, whether it be alcohol, drugs, tobacco, whatever, or food. It can also be shopping or gambling or skydiving, reckless driving, alcohol. No matter what it is, it's giving you something that makes you feel good in the moment. It will either be numbing your emotions or increasing a positive emotion. And I think if you go back into your past, and not necessarily really far, but it could be really far, and think about what is it that keeps you from feeling good in a normal, healthy way. If you have a normal, healthy life, that you can't enjoy that and then have things that you do just for fun. And if you think about what is it that caused them, what is it that caused those feelings that make you feel normal life isn't enough, normal healthy eating isn't satisfying, normal shopping because you need to provide the things that you need to live with isn't satisfying. Most people think that they need to focus on the behavior itself and retrain their behavior. And a lot of counselors and pastors might think that it's important to focus on the actual behavior, but I don't believe that behavior modification is really an answer. We can modify our behaviors but not be healed on the inside. And the more we spend time looking at who you are on the inside, what is it about you that keeps you from feeling satisfied with life? And some people, it's very hard for them to identify that, but it's really, really important that you spend time, even in prayer, asking, what is it that keeps me from feeling satisfied with life? It could be a circumstance, it could be an event that happened in your past that haunts you. And oftentimes I'll tell people, what is it that triggers you now to participate in an addictive behavior? And if you identify your triggers, then you can say, okay, what was the feeling surrounding that trigger? Was it a feeling of not being heard or being abandoned or neglected or unimportant or lonely, afraid? If you can identify that feeling and then go back and say, okay, what is it, if I can remember, the first time I felt that way, the youngest I can remember, or the most powerful time I felt either afraid or lonely or scared or unworthy or valueless or even hurt, physically hurt, abused, and identify those moments and see what are the messages that I carried out of those moments. So I had a feeling about that time frame, and then I have messages that I carried from that time frame. I must not be valuable. I must not be very important. And those turn into these holes of emotion that we spend a lot of our lifetime trying to fill, whether it's with belongings or friends or notoriety or wealth. And addiction falls into that same category. So the more you're able to actually find the area of your life that's needing healing, that you're trying to fill with other things, then you'll actually be able to heal from the pain that creates the impulse to engage in addictive behavior. And one of the things that I've read in dialectical behavioral therapy talks about urge surfing, that an urge will come to participate in an addictive behavior, but it is an urge. It's not a command. It's not forcing you to do it. It's an urge. And so there's two things that you need to know. One, it's an urge, and an urge will pass. If you wait long enough, it will pass. The urge will go away. And two, if you redirect yourself redirect your thinking, your behavior in the moment in time. What else can you be doing? What should you be doing? What kind of things could you be doing that's either innocuous, whether it's reading the newspaper or watching TV, or going for a walk, or something healthy that is proactive in life, or what you're supposed to be doing at the time, whether it's taking out the trash, washing the dishes, working, going home. A lot of times these situations will happen between work and home. Really focus on what is the behavior right now, stay present in the moment, and not let the urge take over your emotions and your mind and ruminate about it, because that's typically when you'll give in, is because you're ruminating about it and thinking about it. Even when you're thinking about, well, I really shouldn't be thinking about this, I shouldn't be doing this, you need to take that next step and do something about it. And we do this often with toddlers. This is a very, very frequently used technique with toddlers, that they'll be wanting an item and they'll be crying, throwing a fit, and you can bring in another item that's either healthier or less noisy or whatever, and they'll be so distracted by it they'll forget about the other one. And so it's the same technique. Find something that's either important in the moment that you're supposed to be attending to, or something that's equally enjoyable but healthy, and engage in that, so it will distract you from the other thing and keep you from ruminating about it. And as you learn to heal those parts of you that you feel are not worthy and lonely and afraid, then you'll be able to live a healthier life. And again, that goes back to, where was your identity, the God-given identity that you had at birth, damaged? And if you can identify that and say, okay, my identity was damaged, and so now I think these things about myself that aren't true. And then ask yourself, are those things that God would say to you, honestly, truthfully, that he would actually walk in and say those things to you, or are those things that the devil wants to remind you are flaws that the culture in general would say, oh, you're just not good enough? God would never say you're not good enough. He would never say that. And evil will continue to lie to you over and over and over again, to get you to believe things that keep you under his authority and dominion, to keep you from being free and peaceful. And the addictions are just ways of coping with that. It's just another negative coping mechanism. So I hope that this will help you a little bit understand a little more about the dynamic of addiction, regardless of what the addiction is, and to help you on your way to healing. And may God bless your journey.